This time, we're taking a look at Darius Gaiden on the Sega Saturn and what makes it so good, because it is so good. Okay, so right off the bat, you've got the greatest enemy lineup in a shooting game I've ever seen. Robot fish from outer space! Yeah, Sonic 2's robot fish don't have nothing on this. From the bosses to the common enemies, everything here is in some way some aquatic life form, and I love it. Every enemy has so much personality. They each have their own attack patterns, and it doesn't feel like the same enemies are recycled throughout the game. And even when you do see a familiar face back at the end of the game, it's almost a relief to know one of the patterns at that point. And even when bosses are reused, their attack patterns change, so you still have to relearn the patterns even if you know them forwards and backwards on one route.
No! Oh my god!
And give me a sec, I'll get to the different routes in a minute. Some of these bosses have so much detail on them. Golden Ogre in particular is almost like a mascot for the game. It's so clear that the team must have loved his design so much. He has so many parts to him, and each are animated individually, and when he blows up, each sushi slice of him has its own spinning animation. It's awesome. The entire game is filled with huge battleships just like him. It encourages multiple playthroughs just so that you can see them all.
Who could it be? Not Storm Causer!
So as I was saying, you've got these branching pathways you can take throughout the game, and there's 28 of them. And this is why you've got Z Prime and V Prime in there. You always start out on A stage first, but from there you can go wherever you want. Want to take Akvaju V Prime? Or maybe Abdgabkbz V Prime? Or maybe you're feeling Asimerx. It doesn't matter, you can pretty much do any path you want. Each path has its advantages and disadvantages. Think Titanic Lance is a BS boss? Well, you should just get good, but who cares? Just skip him. Maybe Krusty Hammer's a pile of garbage that you hate fighting because, objectively he is. So screw it, just take a different fight instead. And the best part is that each of the 7 final levels have different final bosses with different endings to them. Some of them aren't very good though. Let me tell you, was I ever pissed when I got an ending where I saved the day, but I perished beneath the crushing pressure of the ocean. Like, what the hell? I'm not a hero, I just died. That's not cool. But what is cool is that the endings have slight variations if you beat them single player or 2 player, and if your second player dies or not. It's such a nice attention to detail that you just don't see stuff like that anymore. And speaking of 2 player, that's honestly one of my favorite aspects of the entire Darius series, is that you can play them 2 player co-op at once. Having the ability to have a second player join in really shifts the way that the game is played. The second player adds more firepower to the screen, sure, but they also add another object flying across the screen, and the number of power-ups doesn't double just because you've got another player. You've both got to manage who gets what power-ups and when. Should the better dodger start off with a weapon power-up while the other player gets the first shield? Later down the road, should the player with fewer lives get the shield power-up so they can keep playing? Or should the player at the risk of losing the high-level weapons get the shield? The second player really adds a whole new cooperative strategy to the game not seen in the single-player campaign. Oh my god, the music! I don't know what I would do if I forgot to talk about the music. To me, the music is almost the entire game. It really creates the entire atmosphere and connects the game with how you're feeling on the inside. It's really hard to explain unless you've actually played the game, but I want to give a few examples of what I'm talking about. One small detail in particular that I absolutely adore is that the penultimate stage music is really just a modified rendition of the first stage's theme. Let me show you what I mean. This is about halfway through the first stage. And here's the beginning of the second to last stage. It gives you a sense of the progress you've made on your journey. Like, you're almost there. Remember how far you've come. And some of the boss battles have insane music. Specifically, the battle with Titanic Lance and every final battle of the game, all 7 of them. The stage themes in both of these fights start off so calm yet unsettling and build tremendously to truly make you feel the intensity behind the face-off. it's not just that this music is good, it makes you feel these insane feelings. Like, you need to play these boss battles. Oh my god. And also, spoiler alert, I'm gonna talk about the ending. I mean, it's just like a cutscene or whatever, you know, it's a 32-bit game, but if you don't want to see it, then stop watching. So once you finally persevere and make it to the end, you're treated with this almost somber tune as we watch Golden Ogre swimming off in outer space. The game shows you the journey you've made. It shows you every stage that you took, and no matter what ending you get, this tune really just fits perfectly. The way that I see it is that even if you were destroyed, you can at least know that your sacrifice wasn't in vain. And if you made it out alive, you can be proud that you were able to defend the people of Darius, but you have to live with the guilt of all the lives that you had to take in order to protect those that you love. I don't know, maybe I just take this game too far. It's just a shooter, but it makes me so emotional. And I don't really know why. Like, I didn't grow up with this game. I bought a Sega Saturn about 2 years ago with a copy of Darius Gaiden because I thought it looked like a fun game where you shoot fish. And like, yeah, it is, but now every time that I play it, I get hit with this huge sense of nostalgia. Nostalgia for a game that I didn't even grow up playing or knowing anything about. And I don't know if anyone else feels the same way I do about this game, but every time that I beat it, I always think about the real people that spent time and years of their lives working on this game. And I think about how weird it is that in this huge world that we live in, some 20-something-year-old kid is able to play this game on this real hardware made in Japan. I don't know, it makes me think. I don't know why, it's weird. Bottom line is, you gotta play this game. There's a version released on the PlayStation 2. It also comes with a bunch of other Taito games on it, but it's just emulating the arcade version, and there aren't any default numbers of lives or continues on it, so that's actually, I own it already, and that was the reason why I bought the Sega Saturn version, so that I could have that finite difficulty. And possibly most exciting of all is that as of February 28th, this game is available on the Nintendo Switch, at least if you live in Japan. I actually bought that version of the game, so I'll be taking a look at it at some point once it arrives, but keep an eye out for that. I really hope that with the release of this game on Switch, more people get hyped about Darius Gaiden again. I'm Andrew Bofner, and I'll see you all next time.